The story of Chanukah. Many imagine it as a cute fairy tale. You got the story of the menorah, a miracle, some heroic stories. But did you know that there was a real battle happening for 25 years against the Greeks? Let's go see 25 years in 5 minutes. The story of Chanukah started right here in the ancient city of Modi'in in 167 BCE, where a synagogue and a mikvah from the time of the Maccabees in the Second Temple period were found. Right next to the new city of Modi'in that's built right next door. And a Greek officer comes here to Modi'in and says that the Jewish people need to practice idol worshipping and sacrifice to the Greek gods. You can imagine how the Jewish people gather together here in the center of the town, and Matityahu, the leader, stands up and says, I am not going to do idol worshipping. That is against the Jewish law. He gets up and kills the Greek officer, and from here he runs away to the mountains and starts the revolt against the Greeks. To get a better understanding, Matityahu and his 5 sons run away from here, from Modi'in, which is between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem of today, and hide out in the caves up in the Kofna mountains near Beit El. The conditions in the caves were rough, and Matityahu passes away that year, but his oldest son Yudah continues the revolt with his 4 brothers. Yudah figures out a way to defeat the Greeks even though he had a small army. He channels the Greek troops with their commander Apollonius into this narrow valley, and that's when Yudah attacks from the top. The Greeks scattered, and it was a success. Same idea like the first battle, same tactics, same year, just in a place called Ma'ale Beit Choron, a different valley. It's a 5-minute video, you gotta read this stuff. Let's move on to the next battle, much cooler. The Greeks understand that if they want to beat Yudah, they have to surprise him. So they set up camp over here in the valley of Ayalon, right next to where today is the tank museum of Latrun, and they set up camp here and have a plan. The plan is to go all night with a few thousand soldiers up to the mountains and surprise Yudah over there. Little did they know that Yudah had scouts, knowing that they're on their way. So he took his soldiers and started walking towards the Greeks' camp. After a whole night of marching, Yudah and his soldiers make it to the valley of Ayalon. You can imagine how they look out to the valley behind me and see the Greek army camping out. From there, they climb down to the valley where today the Jerusalem-Tel Aviv road goes and surprise the Greek camp. Another successful battle of Yudah. Yudah wins another battle in the south and makes his way to Jerusalem. When Yudah and his soldiers walk into Beit HaMikdash, they find tons of idols all over it. They get rid of the idols, they purify Beit HaMikdash, and they find also 1 can of pure oil. And the 1 little can of oil also lasts for 8 days as a sign that Hashem, God, is with them. Kat katan, shmona yamim sham Yonatan. People think that that's where the story ends, and don't know that even after Jerusalem was freed, the battles continued. The famous battle, for example, where Elazar, the brother of Yudah, gets trampled by an elephant, happens after Beit HaMikdash was purified. And the craziest part is that Yudah, the hero of the story, actually has a tragic ending at his 8th and last battle. After freeing Jerusalem and winning the battles, Yudah sends all his soldiers home. But then suddenly, the Greek king sends a new army to fight against Yudah. He's so surprised he's only able to gather 800 soldiers. And he starts fighting for 24 hours. Terrible battle. He starts retreating to the highest mountain right behind me. It's called Har Baal Chatzor. And he gets to this mountain, but over there, he gets stuck between 2 different Greek forces, and he gets killed by the Greeks. Jerusalem was reconquered by the Greeks, and it seemed like all the 8 battles that Yudah did went down the drain. Even though Yudah was killed, Yonatan, his little brother, doesn't give up. He runs away to here with his family to the Judean desert next to Tekoa. And over here, hiding out in the caves, he starts building himself up, building an army, getting ready to continue the revolt that's going to continue for another 18 years. Can imagine how they were hiding out over here. It wasn't simple. Not for me, at least. After years of guerrilla fighting, Yonatan is able to reconquer Jerusalem and also get freedom of religion. But that wasn't enough, because Yonatan wanted to reestablish the Jewish state, not only in Jerusalem, but in all of Israel. Yonatan has such a strong army that the Greek commander Tryphon wants to meet him and make a peace agreement. Yonatan goes to meet him in Akko, but unfortunately Tryphon catches him and kills him. but his brother Shimon continues the battle. But finally, in 142 BCE, 25 years after the revolt began, Shimon established the Jewish state, and that's the end of the revolt. It was important for me to talk about the realistic story of Chanukah because I feel like a lot of people think that it's some mystical story and not something real. But knowing that it's something real that happened helps us also think about what we have today. We have a Jewish state. It came from bravery, it came from Mesirut Nefesh, but ultimately it came from God. Chanukah Sameach. See you next time in another amazing place in Israel.